Look out over the open ocean on a clear afternoon, and you'll see a sunlit expanse of water that stretches on forever. It is, for all intents and purposes, a massive blue desert. Yet this territory is home to the largest, most active apex predators on Earth. Whales, sharks, and billfish continuously patrol these waters, requiring enormous amounts of energy just to keep moving, even though the surface layers appear to offer almost nothing to eat. The food they need exists in staggering quantities, but it remains out of reach. Hundreds of meters below the surface, insulated by crushing pressure and total darkness, lies a massive layer of prey. Because they cannot dive deep enough to reach that bounty, surface predators are forced to become nomads. They track subtle signs across thousands of miles of empty water, enduring hunger while they wait for the ocean's biological clock to bring the feast to them. During the daylight hours, survival means reading the water. Hunters scan the horizon for a distant spout from a deep-diving pilot whale, or a slick patch on the surface indicating something heavy is moving below. Those deep-diving whales inevitably attract surface opportunists. An oceanic white-tip shark, unable to survive the freezing depths itself, will lock onto a pod of pilot whales returning from a 600-meter dive. The shark deliberately harasses the whales, trying to frighten them into defecating. When the whales release a red plume, a biological marker that they've been feeding on deep-sea squid, the shark swoops in to pick undigested scraps directly out of the feces trail. Other hunters scan the ocean for structural anomalies. A single piece of floating wood or a subtle line where two currents collide can create a temporary shelter for tiny fish. Within minutes, entire schools of yellowfin tuna and spotted dolphins will converge on these rare biological hotspots. By staking out these highly fertile zones during the day, the predators secure prime real estate. They position themselves around these anomalies to ensure they are in the thick of the action the moment the sun goes down and the food rises to meet them. This diagram illustrates a mechanism deep-sea researchers call the 1% light rule. Sunlight penetrates the water and diffuses as it travels downward, eventually hitting a specific depth where only 1% of the surface brightness remains. To avoid the sharp eyes of the hunters patrolling the upper layers, billions of small prey animals confine themselves below that threshold. As long as they stay in the deep shadows, they remain invisible. But as the sun sets, the angle of the light changes. The 1% shadow boundary travels toward the surface, and the massive layer of deep-sea life follows the line upward. The sheer density of these concentrated animals is staggering. There are so many bodies packed into this rising column that military submarines hide beneath them, and acoustic sonar registers the wall of flesh as a solid seafloor. A fading gradient of sunlight acts as an invisible tether, pulling hundreds of millions of tons of biological mass towards the surface in the largest daily migration of animals on Earth. With the last of the light gone, the shallow waters fill with a thick, swirling ecosystem of creatures that rarely, if ever, see the sun. Some of the first to break the surface are siphonophores. These organisms drag stinging tentacles through the water, reaching lengths of 40 meters. Almost immediately, the water pulses with bioluminescence. Organisms like the pyrosome generate their own light, glowing in the pitch black to attract prey or provide a luminous refuge for vulnerable juvenile shrimp. Hot on their trail are the deep water hunters. The viper fish, equipped with fangs so massive they curve outside its head, rises up to ambush the smaller migrants in the dark. The arrival of these deep-sea oddities replaces sight-based precision with a chaotic blizzard of glowing lures and sudden blind strikes. By midnight, the ascent hits its peak. The migration reaches the top of the water column, creating a thick snow of microscopic plankton and gelatinous prey. These massive filter feeders exploit this density instantly. 5-meter-wide manta rays carve wide, continuous arcs through the water, shoveling thousands of tiny creatures into their mouths with every pass. A few meters away, predatory deep-sea squid launch violent, coordinated attacks on swarms of lanternfish. And then the apex hunters take their prize. Dolphins, relying on biological sonar, sweep through the dark. When the terrified squid deploy clouds of defensive ink, the sonar cuts through the obstruction, allowing the dolphins to hit targets in the pitch black. Darkness is the prey's only shield, but by clustering so densely, they create the exact chaotic conditions that the ocean's most specialized hunters need to thrive. And then, the night sky begins to brighten. The moment sunlight pierces the water, the Great Migration instantly reverses course. Fleeing the lethal exposure of the daylight, billions of organisms sink back into the dark abyss to escape the hunters. Back at the surface, the feeding frenzy stops. The mantas glide away, the dolphins disperse, and the waters of the upper ocean are left as quiet and barren as they were 24 hours prior. This cycle repeats across the entire planet every single night, a massive biological rhythm synced